Hello, everybody. It's Media Yaps again, and today we're going to be talking about the Houston Rockets. Now, this isn't going to be a video telling about how they're a dark horse contender and how they're my pick to win the Western Conference and how they're the only team that has a threat against OKC, because in fact, I think they are quite the opposite, actually. I think the Houston Rockets are a dark horse to be a first round exit this year. And I say that not because I think they're a bad team in general. I think in theory they're a really good team, actually. But looking at how bad they played lately and how things have gone, I do think they have a higher chance to just be bounced by a better team in the West, especially with how strong the West is this year. Unless they get like a favorable matchup, if they match up against any of those Thunder, Spurs, Lakers, Nuggets, Timberwolves, even the healthy Warriors or maybe even the Clippers, I think they're gonna have some real trouble. Now I think they'll beat everybody except for like those first 5 teams, but I think if they find themselves matching up against like Minnesota in that first round because they fall like I don't think they I don't think they come out there. I don't think they come out that series. And it's solely because of the fact that, number one, they have no good point guards. With Fred VanVleet going down, they tried to have Reed Shepherd step up into that role, and, he's been good. Like, he's actually been very good. Like, and I think they've got like a 9-2 record when he's their starting point guard. But it's also been a very big issue of, it seems like Ime Udoka doesn't really want to go to him as their point guard. And there's a multitude of reasons for that, because like, number one, defensively, he's a very big downgrade from them just not starting him there. Having him in there means that you have a clear guy for a team to attack every time down the floor. On a team surrounded by good defenders outside of like Sengun, it's like he's going to be the main guy having to work up and down the floor just because they're going to attack him each and every time. And what that means is it's going to nullify a lot of what makes that defense so good. And while it does provide really good spacing, even then with Reed Shepherd, he's not a very good passer yet. He hasn't really developed into a good enough lead guard with lead guard skills, with that lead guard passing and everything, to help them go deep into this Western Conference Finals run, because we've noticed they've lost 2 back-to-back games against the Lakers now, and a big part of that was because especially in their first matchup of this back-to-back, they couldn't get the ball past half court. They couldn't get the ball past not the half court, but past the 3-point line. They had a lack of rim pressure, and obviously with Sengun out, that was going to be a lot different. Sengun is their best like passer and playmaker, and I'll talk about him in a little bit in this video. But also at the same time, it's a thing of, like, he doesn't have that same physical dominance even that a guy like Jokic does, or a guy that Embiid or Wemby does, to be able to like really take the ball from the top of the key and just kind of make the offense just work around him. I remember I thought going into this year, I thought he would like take that another leap and be their clear best player over KD, but that hasn't been the case. KD is still very much the best player on this team. And what that means is they're going to look at KD for a lot of these late game situations, but KD is not he does not have good ball handle. I've been a big KD fan all my life. I grew up as an OKC fan, hence why I talk so much good stuff about them. But the biggest issue is that he's never been that good of a ball handler. A lot of his best stuff always comes from when he has like an all-time point guard next to him to help take that pressure off, to help get him into his best spots, from whether it was Russ or Steph Curry or James Harden or, it's really been those 3. But it seemed like when he doesn't have that, it doesn't work. Hence why the Suns didn't work, because they had a bunch of scorers and not any guy that was really a playmaker, that was really a team guy, that could actually set things up for them. And we're kind of seeing the same issue now, and it doesn't help that a lot of the other West teams are just getting outright better. Like Thunder, Spurs, and Lakers, like especially the Lakers in general, they've kind of like propelled themselves into that top tier. And now all of a sudden it's like, well, shoot, they might sweep the Rockets at this point, right? Denver and Timberwolves, they have taken a step back. Like I just made a video on Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves, but I still do think the Timberwolves will win in a 7-game series, and I think the Nuggets would too. I think they would just kind of dominate them. Like Jokic is that good. Peyton Watson's coming back, so I think they're going to be a lot better, going into the postseason. Like I don't think they're going to be anywhere near as bad as they've been like in the regular season lately. So it's like looking at the Rockets and how they're built, and And it's just how many flaws that this team has. With Amin Thompson as well, I was very high on him. I don't know if any of y'all seen Dorm Talks. We made our shooting guard list. Yeah, he was on my shooting guard. He was on my shooting guards list, and I had him as a top, I want to say top three, top five. And, I might be able to actually pull it up now, but the whole reason I was saying that is because, we see the athleticism, we see him going downhill. He's becoming better as a passer, but he's just not ready for that point guard role, which they've been trying to get him into. He's just not really there yet, which sucks, but it's just how it is. Yeah, I had him number 4, actually. Yeah, I had him number 4. I had him over Kyrie. Yeah, because Kyrie's hurt, basically. I didn't know. We didn't know when he was coming back. But anyways, he hasn't taken that step to have a good, reliable shot from anywhere. Like, even his mid-range shots don't feel like all that good. They don't feel like high percentage shots, I want to say. Yeah. So it's just like, with that happening, Tari Eason's been terrible from 3 the past month. He's like 1 for 32. We saw his mom on Twitter, talking lethal shooter, like, yo, if you're in Houston, I'm gonna need a favor from you, because he's been pretty bad. The DFS signing hasn't worked out for them, and then with Fred VanVleet going down, they lost their guard on a team that already had low guard depth, and that's why I was really confused when they didn't go after one of those cheaper point guards on the market, even during the off season or just during the season. Go see. I know I'm a big Russ fan, so I might be biased, but I think he'd have been great for this team. I think he's having a great year, so I think a guy like him would have been perfect. Same for the Nuggets too. And I'll make a video on the Nuggets later. But so what I'm trying to say is like, with all that in mind, it's like, do I really trust this team in the playoffs? And then having KD as the best player, I don't think that's going to work in this season. There's just, I know there's a lot of things in the playoffs. There's team building, there's shooting, there's like bench depth, all that. But at the end of the day, it's going to rely on which team has the best superstar if you've got a good enough team. We saw that every time. It came down to superstar moments. It came down to a superstar dropping with 40 points in a clutch game 5, clutch game 6, whatever that is. It came down to a superstar choking. That might be what separates you from winning, what separates you from not. And I look at Jokic, I look at SGA, I look at Wembanyama, I look at Anthony Edwards, I look at Luka Doncic, and I look at KD, and I'm like, he's not on that level, Like, he's closer to their second options than he is to being on their tier, Like, he's closer to being as good as a guy like LeBron is, or as good as a guy like Chet is, or a healthy J-Dub. Maybe not for the Spurs. I think he's clearly better than De'Aaron Fox. But, like, that, and you look at it, you're like, man, like, KD's good. Like, he's still having a great year. Like, he's still great, right? But he's not there. He's not them. He's not top 5 in the league. There's like a real clear gap between those guys and everybody else. I think he's in that gap, So it just sucks to see, because it's like this Rockets team might have an early exit, and then we're going to go into the offseason thinking like, well, where do we go from here? Do we go after Giannis? Do we try and make a crazy splash trade? And then on Sengun too, I don't think he's that good. I think I've mentioned this before, but I'm not very high on him. He doesn't do much to me. He doesn't do much for me that tells me like, oh, this guy's a real superstar. We hear the baby Jokic comparisons, but he doesn't have the elite 3 level scoring that Jokic does. He's not a good 3-point shooter at all. He's not good in the mid range like that. He's got solid touch around the rim, but it's nowhere near Jokic's like all-time level touch. His passing and playmaking just nowhere near, not even close. Not even like the same stratosphere, Rebounding, not really. And his defense is bad too, and he's undersized. But unlike Jokic, who's like a lot bigger and is a really good rebounder, to make up for that, he's neither of those. He's not like super strong either, so he's not. So it's just like he doesn't have much for me that tells me like this guy's like a superstar in this league, And that shot, like I remember in the first game of the season, he played against the Thunder, and he hit like 7 threes. And I remember everybody was like, oh, he's finally taking that lead. Oh, he's doing this. And I was like, I promise you, this is a fluke. I promise you, he's going to start off hot like this, and it's going to just trickle back down to where he usually is. And that's what happened. He's shooting 30% from 3 so he's just not that good. I think he's an all-star level player, obviously, but I think when it comes to the postseason, that's why they got KD, because they felt like they needed a guy to close in the half court, and he just wasn't it. I feel like when it gets to that big moment, like I don't think he's gonna be there for it. Like I don't think he's gonna be good enough to, especially compete with these other guys. Like as far as star power, they're like the second weakest team out of those big teams, maybe third. It really. I think. Yeah, they're third weakest. I think I'll put them above the Spurs and the Timberwolves because and Wemby are the clear best ones out of there. Their second options aren't nowhere near as good as Sengun or Fox. So wait. I think I said that wrong. Sengun is a better second option than Fox or Julius Randle are. There, boom. Okay, sorry. Yeah, but it's like hard to look at this team and have a lot of confidence in how good they're going to be coming into next season, because not next season, coming into this postseason, because I think they have a lot of faults. Like I think especially because these Western Conference defenses, they're really good at like swarming ball handlers. They're really good at making people uncomfortable, jumping into passing lanes, and I think that's exactly how you beat this team. Like getting into KD's core, making him uncomfortable. It's always been his. It's always been the best thing to do against him, especially as he's gotten older and he's gotten hurt and he's lost his like explosive first step. Like he's not the same like OKC KD who could fly by you and dunk over 3 people from the free throw line. Like no, he's very much settling for shots because he knows he doesn't have that burst anymore. So, with how good, like I don't even have to mention OKC to talk about like what they would do to them, but like look at the Timberwolves. The Nuggets have gotten pretty good at doing it too. Who else? The Spurs are pretty damn solid. Lakers, we saw Lakers, one of the best defenses in the league right now. Like, it's just a lot going on that tells me this team is going to struggle in the postseason. This team is going to really struggle when it matters. And I don't want to, I kind of feel bad sitting there like being all negative about it, but I have to be real about it, Like, I think this team's really going to struggle when it matters. But thank you guys for listening as always, or watching, whatever. Episode's gonna come out. Hopefully I get this out this Saturday. Sundays are gonna be rest days, so I'm probably not gonna publish anything. I might like record that Sunday, but just leave it until Monday. I uploaded 2 videos anyway yesterday, which is gonna be Friday, depending on whenever you see this. Check out Dorm Talks if y'all can. Always love to see people to see on that. And thank you guys for watching as always. I hope everybody has a great day, and I'll see y'all later.